Konnichiwa, Tokuyama de gozaimasu. Hello, my name is Tokuyama, Patrick to be exact, and you are here because you want to learn how to make Mentaiko Pasta. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing for more videos like this one. So today what we're going to be doing is making Mentaiko Pasta with a little bit of cream, butter, soy sauce, shiso, and some nori. And we're also going to be using my favorite pasta, rusticella. This is a spaghetti from Italy, and it's my favorite because it tastes delicious. It's super thick, and because it's made with bronze dyes, which makes the pasta texture very rough, the sauce that we're going to be making is going to cling right to it so that each bite is going to be filled with tons of mentaiko flavor with a little bit of butter, cream, shiso, shoyu, soy sauce, and nori, dried seaweed. So I have a boiling pot, almost boiling pot of salted water. That's what we're going to boil our pasta in. Go ahead and cut this container open. Cut this little bag open. So this is 500 grams. It's a little bit more than a pound. We're just going to do about half of it. It's going to be enough for 2 people. Soy sauce, we're going to use about a tablespoon. And I like to use my cream to butter ratio in a 1-to-1 ratio. So we're going to do about 2 to 3 tablespoons of each. Depends how saucy you like your pasta. If you like a really saucy pasta, then use a little bit more of each. But I don't like mine too saucy. The shiso, you can choose to slice it up and then mix it in, or you can just garnish it on top of the pasta for looks. And then the dried seaweed, we're going to toast it first, and then we're going to cut it into very thin strips. And then we're going to layer on the seaweed strips on top of the shiso leaves, or maybe the shiso leaves on top of the nori, the seaweed strips. And then we'll put a little bit of the mentaiko eggs on top. And for the other sack, so there's 2 egg sacks here, we're going to mix it in with the soy sauce, butter, and the cream. So you don't really cook the sauce. You're going to use the residual heat from the pan as well as the pasta to melt the butter and the cream and mix everything together. So it's a very straightforward dish, one of my favorites. And this is on the richer side. I don't always make it with cream and butter. Sometimes I like to mix it up with a little bit of mayo, Kewpie mayonnaise, as well as olive oil. 2 different recipes, of course. And that keeps things a little bit lighter than using cream and butter. So those are 2 recipes I'd recommend checking out. I'll link them in the description below. So I'm just going to eyeball this. We're going to do about half of this bag right here. Get them boiled. Pro tip, with pasta, never cook it until al dente in the water. Cook it until just before al dente in the water so that you can finish cooking it with the sauce. And I'll go ahead and measure out the butter. Always use unsalted butter. So there's 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3. So there's 3 tablespoons of butter, and then we'll do 3 tablespoons of the cream. So this Mentaiko pasta, if you've never had it before, it's a very tasty pasta. There's actually an Italian version called bottarga. Bottarga it's also a fish egg, and it's very salty. Tastes similar to mentaiko. It's very salty in flavor, a little bit fishy. There's this restaurant in San Francisco called La Chicha. They're known for their Sardinian cuisine, and they serve bottarga. It was the first time I had it. It was my first time eating like a non-Japanese fish egg pasta, and it was delicious. Highly recommend it if you can seek it out. I think they do sell bottarga online. I've seen it. So with the mentaiko pasta, it's going to come in an egg sack. So what I usually do is just cut it open, and then I scoop out, either using a spoon or a spatula, the eggs inside. And like I was saying before, or I don't know if I said it before, but I'll say it now, this is just one of those things that you want to eat the same day that you make it, because if you reheat the pasta, you're going to actually cook the eggs. So these are uncooked, but if you cook them in the microwave, for example, you're reheating it, it's going to get cooked, and they'll turn white. The texture is going to be changed. It's going to be a little bit hard or firm, and it just doesn't taste as good, at least in my opinion. So with that, so let's go ahead and scoop out. We can use the knife here to scoop out some of these eggs, and we'll save some to garnish. So pro tip, when you're working with nori, dried seaweed, always toast it. When you're using it for homemade sushi, for example, temaki sushi, or if you're just going to use it for a garnish, I think this should be sufficient. The toasting brings out flavor as well as texture. So I just do it over an open flame. Kind of if you've ever done tortillas this way, toasting tortillas makes a big difference, I believe, in the flavor. And you got to be careful though. Just do it really quickly like I'm doing right now so that it doesn't burn. Because nori, when it burns, it smells like burnt hair. It's not a very pleasant smell. So in terms of really seasoning the Mentaiko pasta, I don't really add anything. Maybe I'll put in some cracked pepper, but it's got plenty of flavor on its own, so I don't really do much with it. It's just cream, butter, shoyu, soy sauce, and the Mentaiko. It's got tons of flavor. Obviously, in the nori and the shiso are just a plus. Add a couple dimensions there. So question of the day, if you've made Mentaiko pasta before, what do you like to put in it? What do you like to make the flavor a little bit more special or complex? One of the keys that I have always started to do, cooking pasta, always salt your water. I never used to salt it before for health reasons. I always wanted to, watch my salt intake, but it really makes a positive impact on your flavor, the flavor of the pasta. So always salt it. Okay, it's not done yet. So I'm just folding up the nori here, the seaweed, so that we can cut it very thinly with scissors. You can buy it pre-cut too, but it's not going to be as thin as if you were to cut it by yourself, or with scissors, I mean. So you can do maybe about 1.5 inch strips. It's totally up to you, however you like to do things. I'm just going to make some space right here. Just use some kitchen scissors and just cut as thinly as possible. So I've had some pretty rich Mentaiko pastas before, like swimming in a cream sauce. That is just a little too much for me. So this is like my nice in-between, just right recipe where it's not too saucy. Like I said before, if you want a lighter recipe, you use olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. So there's that spicy kick that you get from the extra virgin olive oil. Regarding the Mentaiko itself, there's a couple of varieties. There's the karakuchi, which means spicy Mentaiko, and then there's amakuchi, or just regular, or not spicy. Amai means sweet in Japanese. I think these are the spicy versions, but don't be concerned if you can't handle spicy foods, because Japanese spicy is usually not that spicy. So if you want to add a spicy kick, I'd recommend that you add some red pepper. That'll definitely get the spice level up. But in Japan, they actually have a couple, if you've never been to like an Italian restaurant in Japan, or a yoshoku restaurant, where they serve like pasta, Japanese style pasta, highly recommended. They put a little bit of a twist on the Italian cuisine, so it doesn't taste like true Italian food in Italy. It has a Japanese flavor to it, which makes it very unique and very delicious in its own way. So if you're ever in Japan, make sure to try and visit one of those restaurants. So we're just about ready. As soon as that gets finished, one other thing that I forgot to mention is that you can reserve some of the pasta water if you want something a little bit more saucy. Rather than using more cream and more butter, you can also use maybe a tablespoon or two of the pasta cooking water if you want more of a saucy dish. So yeah, this pasta is called Rusticella di Abruzzo. It's from Italy, and it's made in Abruzzo, which I think is a city in Tuscany, if I'm not mistaken. And this is good stuff. I go through pounds and pounds of this, especially when I don't make fresh pasta. I haven't found any better brand than this one, but if you know of a good brand, I would be open to trying it, because I'm always open to trying new things. So I'm gonna let that go for about 30 more seconds, and then it should be done. We'll go ahead and drain it, and go ahead and scoop out the rest of these eggs here. You can eat the egg yolk sac, or eat the egg sac if you want. I usually eat it. And Mentaiko, if you've never had it before, it goes on all kinds of things. You can put it in like onigiri. The onigiri are little rice balls. You can also do it with pasta like we're doing today. You can put it on baked goods, breads. If you ever go to a Japanese bakery, you might see it on some baked goods with like cheese. It's a very salty condiment. You put Mentaiko on pizza, for example. It's another tasty way to eat it. I think I might do Mentaiko pizza actually, now that I mention it. All right, so this is gonna be about a half cup's worth, it looks like. So we'll use almost all of it, and then we'll save some to garnish on top in the middle. So that's done. Let's go ahead and strain it. I have a strainer in my sink, ready to go. All right, so now I'm gonna throw in the butter, 3 tablespoons. Then we'll do 3 tablespoons of cream. Get that all melted and mixed together. Okay, so there's that. And then we'll do about a tablespoon of soy sauce. This is just regular shoyu. If you can, try to get shoyu that's made with whole soybeans. So it says marudaizu here. That means whole soybeans in the Japanese characters, the kanji. It's usually better quality. And once the pasta is pretty much, or the butter and the cream has melted, so there's still a little bit of butter there, but I'm just gonna go ahead and drop in the pasta and get this all mixed together. And then, as soon as the butter is melted, I'll drop in the mentaiko, the eggs, mentaiko eggs, and then we'll plate it, top it with some of the nori, put some cracked pepper on there, and the shiso. So here's how it looks. Nice and saucy, as you can see, but not overly saucy. I'm gonna try to make this look as nice as possible. I always have a challenge with pasta, presenting it in a nice way. It's one of the things I'm always working on. All right, I think that looks just about good for one person. Oh, this smells so good. Butter and cream and shoyu, soy sauce, so good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put in the eggs here. We'll put in at least, there's 1, 2, 3, about 3 tablespoons worth. And the reason that I don't do it in the pan is so that it doesn't cook the eggs. There's enough heat, residual heat from the pasta, that they're gonna be semi-cooked, but not completely. So that's why I do it in my plate. And you wanna just make sure you break up the clumps as much as possible so that it's evenly distributed within the pasta. Otherwise you're gonna get chunks of salty goodness in each bite. I'm gonna go ahead and slice the shiso leaves here. I'm gonna thinly slice them. Okay, so that's gonna go on top. And I'm gonna put a little nest of nori. This is probably about a 1/4 cup's worth. Just put that in the middle. Just get it spread out there. And then we'll put a little nest of shiso on top of the nori. Just making sure that all of this is broken apart. And then we'll top it with a chunk of mentaiko. All right, make sure that the other portion doesn't get dried out. So here's my mentaiko pasta with butter, cream, shoyu, soy sauce, a little bit of nori, dried seaweed, and shiso with a little chunk of mentaiko on top. This is gonna be the bomb. Umai, umai, umaso. That means this looks delicious. Or oishiso. So I'm just putting some cracked pepper around it. And I'm ready to eat my dinner. This is gonna be so good. So here it is, final dish, mentaiko pasta. All right guys, so if you want to learn how to make mentaiko pasta, make sure to check out the recipe in the description below. Check out the links to the other mentaiko recipes as well, since I have a couple other variations of this delicious pasta recipe, Japanese style pasta. One of my favorite ways to eat pasta as well as mentaiko. So hope you get a chance to try it. See you later.